Atlanta's royal family just hit emotional bankruptcy. The man who once called himself King of the South is now watching his own prince spiral out of control, and this time, not even money, fame, or million-dollar pep talks can save him. T.I., the hip-hop mogul who turned hustle into an empire, is officially breaking down as King Harris slips further away from the family, the fame, and the father who made it all possible. What started as harmless teenage rebellion has mutated into a full-blown generational war, public fights, reckless lives, wild interviews, and a son who seems more interested in chaos than legacy. And now fans are calling it what T.I. refuses to admit: too late. Too late to control him. Too late to repair the bond. Too late to save what's already gone viral for all the wrong reasons. The internet's eating it alive. TikTok detectives, fan theories, emotional edits, and headlines that read like rap lyrics gone wrong. Forget family hustle. This is family heartbreak. The Harris edition. And the craziest part? The downfall isn't coming from outside enemies. It's coming from the inside. This is the story of how one of hip-hop's strongest fathers just watched his legacy walk out the door. Crown still shining, but heart in pieces. Let's rewind to the moment the internet realized something was off, when that one clip of T.I. and King Harris went viral and shattered the perfect family hustle image faster than you could say expeditiously. It was supposed to be a funny moment, just a father and son debating who had the tougher upbringing. But what the world saw was a heartbreaking reality. King wasn't joking. He was furious. His tone wasn't that of a playful son. It was a young man boiling with resentment. And T.I.? He was holding back tears masked as disappointment. The clip spread like wildfire, and overnight, a family talk turned into a cultural autopsy. King Harris is lost. T.I. failed as a father. This ain't parenting. This is public warfare. The headlines were merciless. The blog smelled blood, and fans, who'd once worshipped the Harris clan, were now playing judge, jury, and therapist. See, what people forget is, King Harris didn't just wake up rebellious. He was raised in fame. Cameras, tours, mansions, all while trying to prove he wasn't just T.I. and Tiny's kid. Every time he spoke, he was compared to his dad's wisdom or his mom's calm. But King didn't inherit calm, he inherited chaos. And the internet was watching him self-destruct in real time. In that viral clip, King yelled, "Y'all don't know what I went through," while sitting in a luxury SUV with security guards in the back. Fans had a field day. Went through what? Limited edition stress? One user posted. Another said, "This man fighting generational wealth like it owes him money." The sarcasm was brutal, but beneath the jokes, there was something darker. Because the more King shouted about not being understood, the clearer it became that T.I. was losing him not as a son, but as a person. T.I. tried to laugh it off on social media at first. He posted the clip, captioned it with laughing emojis, and wrote, "I love my boy, but he need to stop capping." It was an attempt at humor, a dad trying to save face, but fans didn't buy it. The laughter sounded like denial. The comments flooded in. "This ain't funny. You can't meme your way out of fatherhood. It's giving regret disguised as comedy." And they were right. Because a few days later, another clip surfaced. T.I. wasn't laughing anymore. He was quiet, heavy, eyes low, talking to an interviewer who asked him about King's behavior. His response? "Sometimes their kids gotta bump their head a few times before they realize what you've been trying to tell him." But his voice cracked on the word kids. You could feel it. This wasn't a rapper speaking. This was a father who'd done everything right and was still losing the battle. That single interview went viral. Not because of what he said, but because of what he didn't. The silence after each sentence said everything. I failed. But here's where it got worse. King saw the clip, and instead of reaching out, he clapped back. He went live again, because of course he did, saying, "My pops think he know everything, but he ain't perfect either." He even claimed, "I've been out here. I ain't live in no mansion my whole life." The delusion had gone international. Fans pulled up every receipt, childhood footage, behind-the-scenes clips, even baby pictures showing him surrounded by gold records. One fan posted, "Sir, your first crib had a theater room. Relax." Another added, "This man's struggle was the Wi-Fi going out." But that's the thing, it wasn't about reality. It was about perception. King wasn't chasing truth. He was chasing identity. He wanted to prove he wasn't soft, wasn't spoiled, wasn't just another rapper's son. And in trying to prove he was real, he lost the one thing that actually was his father's trust. T.I. was no longer angry. He was heartbroken. Behind the scenes, sources close to the family said he'd been trying everything: family therapy, private talks, even pulling King off social media. But King wasn't listening. Every attempt to fix things turned into another public meltdown. Tiny, ever the quiet nurturer, reportedly told him, "You gotta let him find himself, Tip." But watching your son find himself while the world laughs isn't strength, it's torture. Soon, King became the internet's favorite villain. Every post he made turned into content for gossip blogs. Every laugh became a meme. He wasn't living, he was performing. Fame had turned him into the main character of a tragedy he didn't even understand. And through it all, T.I. kept posting motivational quotes, the digital equivalent of whispering through tears. "Growth is painful," one post read, "but it's necessary." Another said, "You can't save someone who's addicted to attention." Fans noticed the subtext immediately. One comment nailed it. "This ain't a quote page. This is a cry for help." The fall was slow but public. King's music career, which once had momentum, stalled. His reputation gone. Every blog that once celebrated his fresh energy now called him the lost heir. And T.I.? He became a symbol of what every parent fears: giving your kids the world only to have them reject it. People started analyzing the Harris family like a case study. This is what happens when fame raises your kids. This is the price of public parenting. Everyone had an opinion, but nobody had a solution. Meanwhile, behind closed doors, insiders say T.I. was done performing. No more jokes. No more denial. He wanted his son back, not for PR, for peace. One close friend allegedly said, "Tip sat in the studio one night just staring at the mic. Sighed, how you write about hustling when you can't even reach your own blood?" That line alone broke hearts across Atlanta. The man who once taught the world about respect and responsibility was now learning the hardest lesson of all. You can't hustle love. By this point, fans had turned the situation into emotional theater. Some were genuinely praying for the family. Others were making TikTok edits of young King with sad music. The top comment under one viral post said it best: "We watched T.I. raise a kingdom and still lose the crown." And they weren't exaggerating. The empire T.I. built from scratch, the music, the show, the image of a tight-knit Southern dynasty, was now being dismantled by his own bloodline. But just when people thought the story had reached rock bottom, it took a darker, more emotional twist, one that would break T.I. completely and make the internet finally realize this wasn't about fame anymore. This was about family and time running out. When the next chapter of the Harris family drama dropped, it didn't hit like gossip, it hit like grief. The internet thought they'd seen chaos before, but this was different. This wasn't King acting out for clout anymore. This was a full-blown implosion. A son drifting further into a world of defiance while his father, the same man who survived poverty, prison, and fame, stood helplessly on the sidelines. Watching his legacy unravel, it all began with one sentence that sent shockwaves across every timeline. "I don't need my daddy for nothing." King said it during a random Instagram live, his voice loud, his pride louder. That clip spread faster than wildfire in a drought. Blogs reposted it with headlines like, "King Harris disowns T.I.?" Fans went into instant panic mode. The comments section turned into a digital courtroom. "Not you disrespecting T.I., the man who built your whole lifestyle," one fan wrote. Another said, "He's crying for help, not fame." T.I. didn't respond, not publicly anyway. But insiders claimed he was devastated. He'd always been proud, always composed, always the man with the answers. But this time, there were no lyrics, no clever words, no fix. Just a father realizing that his influence no longer reached his own son. The King of the South was losing his prince, one life at a time. Meanwhile, King doubled down. Every time the story cooled off, he'd reignite it. More lives, more interviews, more wild claims. He said he was realer than people thought, that he'd been through things his dad would never understand. He painted himself as misunderstood, a street soldier in a world that only saw him as privileged. But the internet wasn't buying it. Fans started calling him the Wi-Fi Warrior, a nickname that went viral in record time. This man trying to prove he's hood when his biggest struggle was bad connection during Fortnite. One user joked, and as the world laughed, T.I. cracked at a recent event, ironically titled Fathers in Focus. T.I. spoke about parenthood with tears in his eyes. His voice broke mid-sentence. You can teach, you can guide, you can protect. But at some point, you gotta accept your child gonna make their own choices, he said. The crowd clapped, but his face said it all. This wasn't a speech. It was surrender. He wasn't talking to the audience anymore. He was talking to King. That moment went viral instantly. The internet had never seen T.I., the man who built his brand on confidence and control, so vulnerable. One fan tweeted, "That wasn't T.I. the rapper. That was Cliff the dad." Another said, "You can tell he's fighting tears every word. That's pain you can't auto-tune." And if that wasn't heartbreaking enough, just hours later, King went live again, mocking it. "Man, y'all always trying to make me the bad guy," he said, rolling his eyes. "My pop's emotional. That's on him." The backlash was instant. People flooded his comments with fire and fury. "Boy, your dad's hurting and you laughing? This generation don't respect nothing sacred." The internet flipped. Suddenly, it wasn't funny anymore. What had started as entertainment now felt cruel. Fans who once laughed at King's antics began turning against him. They accused him of chasing attention at the expense of his father's heart. One viral TikTok said it perfectly, "You can't win a war against your own blood." That's not rebellion, that's self-destruction. Meanwhile, T.I. retreated. He stopped doing interviews. He stopped commenting on anything related to King. Even his usual Instagram motivation posts disappeared. It was as if he went into emotional hiding. Rumors spread that he told close friends he was done trying to talk sense into someone who ain't listening. But even silence couldn't stop the chaos. Because every day that T.I. stayed quiet, King got louder. He started showing up at events alone, flaunting independence that looked more like isolation. In one clip, he even said, "I made my own name. I don't need T.I.'s legacy." The irony? The entire comment section only referred to him as T.I.'s son. By now, even other celebrities couldn't resist jumping in. 50 Cent, never one to miss a good jab, reposted a meme of King with the caption, "This boy wants street credit with a platinum spoon." Snoop Dogg commented under a blog post, "All that money and still no peace, that's the real curse." The internet agreed. Everyone had seen celebrity kids go wild before, but this felt personal. This was a public unraveling of one of hip-hop's most respected dynasties. Then came the meme that broke the internet, a side-by-side of young King on Family Hustle smiling with his dad, versus present-day King yelling into a phone. The caption read, "From daddy's boy to daddy's burden." It went viral overnight, thousands of shares, millions of views, even trending on Twitter. The comments were vicious. "He went from family hustle to solo struggle. This man's been hustling backwards since 2021, and through it all, fans kept asking the same question, what happened? How did a father who built an empire around family lose his own child in front of millions?" Some blamed fame. Some blamed ego. Others blamed generational trauma. But the truth might be simpler. T.I. taught King how to be powerful, but not how to be humble. The internet turned into a roundtable of armchair psychologists. T.I. raised him to be strong, not grounded, one person said. He raised a soldier, not a son. Another argued, King ain't acting out, he's acting out loud. That's what happens when pain meets privilege. But no matter the theory, the verdict was unanimous. T.I. looked broken. The confident smirk, the sharp comebacks, the swagger gone. His interviews grew heavier, his tone quieter. At one point, when asked about King, he simply said, "I'm praying he figures it out before it's too late." That phrase, "too late," echoed across the internet. It became the headline of every post, the soundbite on every gossip show. The heartbreak heard round the culture. Because in that moment, even the fans who once mocked him realized this wasn't a PR crisis. It was a father's cry, and just when everyone thought the story couldn't get more emotional, it did. King posted a video that night saying, "Everybody judging me like y'all perfect. I love my dad, but he don't understand me." His voice cracked mid-sentence, and for the first time, the bravado faded. The comments flipped again, this time with empathy. He's crying out for love. He's lost, not evil. Suddenly, it wasn't father versus son anymore. It was pain versus perception. And the wildest part? T.I. saw that video, reposted it quietly with a single caption, "I hear you, son." No shade. No pride, just heartbreak. Fans flooded the comments with prayer emojis and broken hearts. One person said, "This right here is healing, the start of something real." Another wrote, "If this don't make them sit down and talk, nothing will." But healing is messy, and in the Harris household, nothing stays private for long. Because just when the internet thought it was witnessing a truce, the next chapter dropped, one so raw and shocking that even T.I.'s silence couldn't hide the truth. The father-son bond wasn't just cracking anymore. It was breaking. The breaking point came without warning. No interviews, no teasers, no drama build-up, just a quiet post that sent shockwaves through the internet. King Harris had unfollowed his entire family, including T.I. and Tiny. No captions, no explanations, just silence. And in the world of celebrity culture, silence speaks louder than a diss track. Within minutes, the blogs went nuclear. King Harris cuts off T.I. The Harris family fallout just got worse. Screenshots flooded Twitter like evidence in a courtroom. Fans were in disbelief. This ain't just rebellion no more, this is war. Another wrote, "This is what happens when pride meets parenting." Behind the screens, though, there wasn't anger, there was heartbreak. Insiders close to the family said T.I. took it hard. Like, sat in the dark, phone face down, nothing to say, hard. For years, he'd been the protector, the provider, the patriarch who always had a plan. But this was the one battle he couldn't strategize his way out of. Watching your child disconnect publicly while millions cheer is a pain no parent can rehearse for. Meanwhile, King was leaning into the chaos. He started posting cryptic messages. "I had to separate to elevate. Everybody fake when you stop listening." The captions sounded deep but felt hollow. Like a boy trying to convince himself that isolation equals freedom. Fans were split. Some cheered for his independence, while others called it what it was. A cry for help wrapped in HASHTAGS. Then came the interview that broke T.I. completely. Sitting across from a podcast host, he was asked the one question everyone wanted answered. "Do you think it's too late to fix things with your son?" T.I. sighed, long, heavy, the kind of sigh that carries 10 years of exhaustion. "I don't know," he said softly. "I hope not. But it feels like I already lost him to the world." The room went silent. No jokes, no witty comeback. Just a man admitting defeat. That clip hit harder than any song he's ever dropped. You could see it in his face, the pain of watching your son become a stranger. The internet flipped from mocking to mourning. "Man, I feel for him," one fan wrote. "You can see the heartbreak in his eyes." Another added, "That's not T.I. the rapper, that's Clifford the dad. And he's crushed." But just when everyone thought the story had finally hit its emotional ceiling, King went live again. Except this time, it wasn't arrogance. It was anger. "Everybody trying to make me the villain," he shouted. "Y'all don't know what I've been through. My pops act like he perfect, he not." The video cut in and out, filled with emotion that was part rage, part regret, and for the first time, people didn't laugh. They listened. Because underneath all the noise, all the acting grown, there was a lost kid screaming for connection. T.I. saw it too. That same night, he posted a black and white picture of himself with the caption, "You can't fix what's broken if it don't want to be fixed." It wasn't petty, it was painful. Fans flooded the comments. "This man's heart in shambles. This ain't rap beef, this is real life unraveling." What made it worse was that the Harris family had built their brand on togetherness. The world had seen them laugh, love, argue, and grow all on camera. Now, that same transparency was turning into torment. Every family memory that once inspired fans was now being replayed as what went wrong. Tiny, always the peacemaker, tried to hold it together. She posted a subtle message that said, "Some storms don't come to destroy, they come to reveal." But by then, it was clear. The storm had already torn the house apart. Even celebrities started weighing in again. 50 Cent, Ever the Troll, reposted T.I.'s interview with a caption, "Sometimes even kings gotta take a knee." It was brutal but not inaccurate. Because for the first time in his life, T.I. wasn't leading a movement or an empire, he was praying for a miracle. As the saga continued, fans noticed something heartbreaking. T.I. stopped mentioning King altogether. Every time he talked about family or success, he only mentioned his other kids. It wasn't shade. It was surrender. Like a man learning to live with an open wound. Meanwhile, King started hinting at regrets. "I ain't perfect," he said in a random IG story. "I just wanted to be heard." It wasn't an apology, but it was a crack in the armor. The internet clung to that sliver of hope. "Maybe he's realizing what he lost," one fan commented. "Maybe they'll fix it before it's really too late." T.I. reposted a sermon clip that same week, a pastor talking about letting go of loved ones who refuse guidance. His caption? "Sometimes love means distance. Sometimes love means distance." That post alone got over 500,000 likes, but also 1,000 comments begging him to reconcile with King. Don't give up on him. He's still your baby. Because deep down, everyone could see it, T.I. wasn't angry anymore. He was grieving someone who was still alive. And that's the cruelest kind of pain. The downfall of King Harris wasn't just another celebrity meltdown. It was a reflection of an entire generation, kids born in fame but starving for identity. Fathers trying to lead in an era where clout speaks louder than wisdom. This wasn't about music or money anymore. It was about legacy, love, and the limits of control. But then came one final twist that changed everything. A fan posted a video montage, clips of young King playing with his dad, Tia smiling proudly beside him, set to sad music. The caption read, "What happened to them?" Within hours, it went viral. Millions watched, thousands cried, and even T.I. himself commented a single broken heart emoji. That was the moment the internet stopped laughing. Because now the story wasn't funny, it was tragic. A father who gave his son the world, and a son who didn't know what to do with it. And as the internet moved on to its next scandal, T.I. didn't. He stayed quiet, reflective, rebuilding himself one quote at a time. Maybe he'd learned the hardest truth of all: you can guide, you can love, but you can't save someone who's already slipping. Because sometimes the greatest pain isn't losing your legacy. It's watching your legacy lose itself. And that's exactly where the Harris story stands, not ended, not healed, just paused in heartbreak. The King of the South still has his crown, but this time, it sits heavy, because what's a crown worth when your own prince won't wear it? And there it is, the rise, the fall, and the heartbreak of Atlanta's royal bloodline, T.I. The man who once ruled hip-hop with an iron mic and a silver tongue, now sits on a throne built from regret, watching his son drift further into the storm. The family hustle dream turned into a family heartache. Documentary and the internet's front row seat made it even colder. Because this isn't just another celebrity family meltdown, it's the price of legacy in the social media era. You can't parent privately when the whole world's watching. You can't heal when your pain trends every other week. And T.I.? He learned the hard way that money can buy houses, not harmony. Fans are torn, half blaming fame, half blaming pride. But everyone agrees on one thing: it feels too late. Too late for control. Too late for calm. Too late to turn back the clock. Because once the internet gets involved in family business, there's no such thing as behind closed doors. But if there's one thing this saga proves, it's that kings don't fall quietly, they fall in headlines. And when they do, the world doesn't whisper. It watches. So if you're here for the truth, the chaos, and the stories the blogs are too scared to touch, smash that like button. Like it owes you child support. Drop your wildest take in the comments, and subscribe before the next meltdown hits Atlanta, because you already know this is Trend Tattle, where family secrets turn into timelines, tears turn into traffic, and every crown has a crack waiting to shine through. Stay tuned, stay savage. And remember, in this game, love fades fast, but drama never dies.